attendance, Nancy? Okay, let's call it 6:07. We'll call the meeting to order. Everybody, meeting number 75. And you have attendance, Nancy? Thank you. We have minutes from November 1st. Nancy issued one a little later this afternoon, another version. Nancy, can you just show us what you changed, the latest version?
I fixed a couple of typographical errors. I clarified the last sentence under new business, first paragraph. Also corrected the construction manager report, the second paragraph. The last sentence was rewritten. There was a typographical error on page 2, second line. The word cost was fixed. In the next paragraph, second line, the word McMahon was spelled incorrectly. That's been fixed. And under approval of invoices on the third paragraph, Patrick's name was misspelled. They left the K off of Patrick, and that's been fixed as well.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike. Do we have a second? Second by Lois. Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And nobody abstaining then. Chris, did we hear from you? You're muted.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, motion passes. All right. So let's go to new business and let's hear from our town team from Downs. Got Anthony and Scott here who exist in person.
We do exist in person. We're here. All right, everybody. There's really not much to update from the last meeting that we had. I did put together just a quick little agenda to go through at this point in time. Part A here, subcontract and permit update. Actually, let's share my screen.
Yeah, can you share that on the screen?
All right, part 1A, subcontractors and permit update. Last time we spoke, we did get our general building permit, which was good news. We are still waiting on the DECD and the DEP FMC flood management certificate. We did get an email confirmation today from SLR that through the DECD and the DEP, we are a couple weeks out. I don't know if that was for review or if that was to actually get our certification. So right now we're a couple weeks away. So everybody keep your fingers crossed. All right. Part B, going through the schedule update for construction. There's been no progress made at Prosser at this time. We did get confirmation at Riley that we cannot take the building down even though those utility lines are above grade. The reason for that is MDC wanted the disconnect letter to be, the disconnects to be done at the road, not on the site. Therefore, we're not able to get our disconnect letter and the building permit will not allow us to take the building down. As far as other items throughout the site, there's really not much change at this time. We did a little bit of tree protection, but there's going to be some further developments in that once we start actually doing the major tree removal. Again, a general item here, we're basically being held up due to the DEP and the FMC approval. And again, I could just reiterate that SLR did email us today and said the DEP is a few weeks out from our application or hopefully approval. Other than that, there's really not much to talk about. There's really no more progress photos added to what we reviewed last time. Other than that, does anybody have any questions or comments, concerns?
Questions for Anthony? Patrick?
Yes.
Taking so long to get the approval of the DEP permit. I mean, are they just that backlogged? I mean, is there something?
I think for this project, it's a couple of things here. First off, well, let's start with the first application that we submitted, they lost. Right? So therefore, we had to get all our paperwork back together through the DECD and resubmit it to them. At this point in time, it's probably, I would assume it's a backup on their end through the state. We've tried sending them a courtesy copy again, so they could review it simultaneously while the DECD was there and doing their review. But it's just, it's a combination of things. On past projects in history, over here at Downs is, this process does take a while, but I think it's a little longer here because of the misplaced first application.
Right, because we're already a month, I believe.
Right now, we were supposed to start mass demolition on the 20th of October.
Mhm.
And right now we're on November 15th, so we're about 5 weeks. We're doing everything in our power to figure out where we could accelerate the schedule, whether it be extended hours, Saturday work upcoming, so it doesn't affect the overall date of substantial completion. All right.
As far as the Riley goes, so the MDC wants to disconnect on the road.
Correct.
So what do we have to do to get that?
So but it turns basically into process. So now what we need to do is get this FMC so we could actually dig a hole. So that's stopping us from digging a hole, disconnecting the utilities, getting that special letter that's saying all the utilities have been disconnected over to Dwight, over at the building department. And then in turn, he gives us our mass demo permit. So the trenching part of this whole operation is keeping us from knocking this building down.
And the folks that are gonna do the demo,
Mhm.
contract demo, are they going to be able to, we call them tomorrow and say, we're ready, or
They're ready to go. Yep.
there won't be another delay?
There won't be another delay at this point in time. They're the ones too, they're pushing every day. They have all their paperwork into Dwight, as much as they can to this point. So, not to further delay anything, we are still waiting on Eversource to give us a disconnect to the building for there. I think a couple weeks ago when we were, just finishing up the abatement and whatnot of the windows, they were in the road messing around, trying to figure out actually where the electrical is coming in, so.
I saw the Eversource car there yesterday. I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign.
I hope I hope they found it. I hope they found it, but that's one of those items I think hopefully we could clear up before, this FMC says get set, ready, go.
Well, let me just add a little bit to this if I can. This is Jeff Brown calling. I spoke to Richard early this morning expressing the concern that everybody has with this FMC. So we called Rock and, basically just put the calls to him to figure out how we can get around and speak to somebody in there to get this thing processed. So he followed up with this email, which basically just says that Melinda of the DECD has talked to Colin Clark at the DEEP. He will get into the permit hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So that's all we got.
And unfortunately, that's all overshadowed by the DECD grant approval. We're also waiting. There's that. Lois.
When we submit the application to DEP, do we document the pieces that are necessary? Why we can't move forward without it? Do they just get the permit? Or shall we say, B follows? Understand what the issues.
Can we ask those of us who are virtual for you to speak more closer to the mic? Because sometimes people fade in and out if they're not close to the mic.
My question is, have we made it clear to DEEP that the whole project is being held up because they haven't had time? And I'm sympathetic to DEEP. I understand that they lack staff. But if they understood also that the project is being held up and how all of the pieces are stacked behind this one thing, has someone explained that to them?
Yeah, so Scott with Downs, Downs has, to the best of our ability, all this paperwork is generated from town and SLR. And I know SLR is definitely, Rock from SLR is definitely outlined how critical it is to get this done because the project is now on hold. And Jeff, you can speak more to that if you'd like, but throughout the process, Downs has, for what we can, for the powers that we have, which aren't much with the DECD, outline not only that there's certain things we can't do, but pushing for things that we can do, which is why we got as far as we did until we just can't take down the buildings without disconnecting the utilities, and you have to excavate to do that.
Right.
If we
And
can't dig into the ground, then we can't move. So we've done everything we can possibly do at this point on our end.
right. And through all team efforts, TSKP, ourselves, SLR, everybody has, pushed their sense of urgency of getting this application to giving them a courtesy copy before the DECD even gave their final blessing. So we're trying to facilitate a quicker avenue, but it just seems to, just be lagging.
Other questions for Downs? Scott, you're all set? Okay. Let's go to our team from SKP, and sitting here is Jeanette and Abby and Tai Sue. Thanks for coming. Who's going first? We're winging it as we go, so
Stick it out. Okay. Thank you. You don't want me to sing. So basically, this is going to be a recap from 2 weeks ago. Abby made a very nice presentation online, and this is the plan that we thought would be easier for everybody to see. So it's more of a recap and to talk about some of the issues that were brought up. And this is the purpose of these meetings, so that if there's other ideas or thoughts we want to know about and take into consideration. So to quickly go through it, one of the things was the carpeting. And in the adult area, we had this very neutral palette that goes wonderfully with all the wood. There's a lot of architectural interest. You have a lot of natural light coming in to the space. And that's this carpet here, so you can see it in person. It kind of reads more as a solid, but you can see there is a little bit of a pattern to it. So it's a warm, inviting carpet, which are best seen on the floor. And then we had the community center, which is a very vibrant carpet. And these are all very durable carpets that will last a long time. There are carpet tiles. This is the size of the carpet tiles. So that's the other tile. Should we pass it around? The brown one doesn't have the backing on it, but it will have the same backing as these. And last but not least, the children's area. So the feedback with the carpet the last meeting was that the thinking was maybe to have something a little more cheerful. Right.
in the
This-
main room,
it-
it was the
Right.
comment.
So this is the main adult area, which has the brown carpet. And then all upstairs on the second floor would be the same carpet. And so there's also this is a piece of porcelain tile, which is going to be part of the stair treads going up. And it's also a divider as you walk in. It's a transition as you go in through these arches. So the carpet will be butting up to these pieces here. And so Taisu did take another look, and he pulled this out. This is from the submittals that we had received. So we have this, actually, maybe I could hold that. You can bring it around to everybody. So this is a little bit more vibrant. It will go.
Share it on the screen. Can Jeff share that rendering?
No. Oh, I don't think I have that one. I don't think I have that one. It's the same as this.
Yeah.
The only difference is that,
I just want to share that with the people who are not
oh,
here in
okay.
the room.
Yeah.
And we can zoom in one of our cameras here in the room on a new rendering here of the main room with a sort of a blue tone carpet rather than the.
Oh, there you go. Yep. So basically, it's showing, in comparison to the other, it's showing this with the browner carpet and this with the blue carpet. Right. So this blue goes very nicely with the other tones that are going on in the building.
Jeanette,
Yep,
may I speak now?
sure.
Okay.
We're a team.
Well, it's a carpet, but it is very important decisions. That's what you're gonna see. You walk into the room and you're gonna see this carpet color. And I heard Jeanette told me some members say, "Oh, we want some more interesting carpet colors and patterns and so on." But main room of this library, I don't think you really want carpet stands out too much. Too much interesting carpet really take away of the ambience of the room. And also we really want to show books. Books are the main feature of this main room. So if you introduce too strong color, this main room, I think you're gonna take away from the books and furnitures, other accents, and so on, so on. So, in my opinion, I prefer more neutral color. Let the other stands out. Like a book has a lot of colors and furnitures. We have wonderful wood and so on. So that all these other things really sing together rather than you walk into the room, the carpet is the one first thing you impress you. And I think that to me seems to me take away rather than add to the experience of this main room. So that's my professional opinion. I think when you just look at the carpet, oh, this is neutral, dull, not interesting. You really have to look at the overall thing. What you are trying to do. What we are trying to do is create an overall atmosphere of the building, of the house, and primarily really wood ceiling and wood columns and brick pier. Those are the really main player of this room. The, the books,
Yeah, you're gonna
a lot of
see
colors,
a
yeah,
lot of furniture.
furnitures, and so on. And as Janet going to show you, we're going to add some colorful furnitures. As you can see, this rendering shows, it's just such a strong carpet. I think it seems to me take away this overall feeling of this room because it's just too strong. Can you show the other rendering of neutral one? Can you do that?
Um, Jeff, could you share your screen again?
With the floor plan.
Can you show that the other rendering?
Oh, this one, I'm not sure if it's in that. He's probably gonna look for it. It's got the brown carpet in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. This, as you can see, it carpet is not the main theme here. You see, carpet is neutral, and let the books and peoples and furnitures and wood ceilings and brick pier. Those are the one really showing the strongest. And with this together, it's much more harmonious and beautiful. Making the carpet is the primary experience. That's
Lois,
my
Lois, do you
my
wanna,
comment.
You want to comment? Because
Well,
Well,
for
let me
example, but for example, or the lecture room or meeting room, that's, you don't want to see too many other things. So that's why furniture and carpets a very strong color and creating the sort of background and the wood and people speaking in front and looking outside. So that is okay for strong color. In children's area, we talked about children's area theme is sort of nature outside, bring the green in. I think children's area, strong green, much more interesting carpet. I think works well with that center area with the cloud and sky and so on. So I'm very afraid that strong color and dark color carpet on that main.
Plus, we have the color of the brick that's throughout the area. And as I was mentioning before, the there's that's an old rendering, but there's a lot of furniture in here. And these areas in the living room are going to be upholstered, so you'll have a lot of fabric. So, you know, it really it will pop when you bring in some other colors too. So that's sort of why we're leaning towards this.
Furniture.
No, not yet. No.
I think you should bring a lot of colors to furniture so that it create more interest.
And you're going to have this nice wood color throughout.
Comments? Lois?
Since I made the cheerful comment, I think there has to be middle ground here.
Okay.
To me, this is way too gray. And if it were warmer, more like the wood, I'd be interested in that. I see what you mean about the blue. I can't believe we have only two choices. If I have to choose tonight between these two, I would certainly choose the blue. But there must be a carpet that looks a little bit more, less gray and more like the wood, warmer.
Okay.
It can't be that we have only two choices.
Well, we look for more color. I guess you're looking for a little bit more library of color, right? So warmer color. Okay, wood colors.
This would look a lot like our house does after several people have come in with their boots on in the winter. That's the way it looks to me. I'm sorry, but something warm. This is a new, exciting library, and I get. I'm not trying to substitute my judgment for a professional, but as a human being, I'm telling you how I feel about that one.
Well, we're gonna look for more additional sample.
Okay. Okay.
Next meeting.
There actually are other grays. This is in the brown family. It's not so much gray.
But
Okay.
I think it's overall sort of more wood colors and brick colors, and that color combination very important. Yes, we so definitely will show you some more.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that seeing the carpet in person, it is browner than presented on the screen, rather than gray. But just to reiterate what you're saying,
Let's see if we can find some.
Okay.
we appreciate that. But I think the attributes of the room are light and air,
Yeah,
as well as the books, and that, you know, a lighter tone, I think enhances the space more, makes it feel larger, and it should feel large.
well, this rendering doesn't show furniture as a color. Furniture, we will pick some furniture more color. So excitement will come with book and furniture colors and so on.
And the other thing, we pick things as far as maintenance is concerned. So obviously, the lighter you go, the more soil is gonna show. It can be cleaned, but I don't know how good your cleaning facility is. Some, there you go.
In person, in person.
So,
Darker is
but
an issue too, isn't it, with cleaning? I mean, it dark shows anything that falls on the floor.
if it's like a lint, light colors and
Does that really work that way, Glenn? Yeah. You've done that on other facilities? How's that? Okay.
Well,
I mean, I hear that, I hear that a lot, but I don't see it done as often as advertised.
That stain is gone.
Yeah, we're.
Want to make one comment? Keeping the neutral color on the floor. I mean, even if it's not the particular hue we're looking for right now, if you look at this rendering, I do agree, as it makes all the wood details stand out. The vibrant color just really took away from the architecture.
Right.
So I do agree with that hue. The children's area, when we get to that point, that's a lot of square footage for that green. So I don't know if we could, but it's going to boil down to personal preference. So just a thought.
Other comments from the committee? Leah?
Yeah, I mean, I really agree with what Lois said. I'm not against neutrals. It's just brown feels very like not modern to me. And even if we go towards a more gray, I'm sorry, I can't get past the brown. It's just I think you could still do something neutral that maybe is a little bit more modern, bright, friendly. Yeah.
what did you think of the blue?
I mean, I love the blue. I get what everyone's saying about it, like drawing too much attention away, but I also I feel like the furniture we're gonna pick is probably gonna be more neutral. So I'm someone who likes color though, so I get that it is personal preference. And I would love to see some more options.
Thanks, Leah.
I too, I agree with that also. I think it's a little bit.
Chris? Oh, you faded out, Chris. All right, we'll have to come back to you, Chris.
Okay.
Any other hands? And the other rooms, any comments on the other areas from anybody?
So, yeah, the other thing that was brought up in the last meeting was the area for display. And we had shown in the children's area these top images, and I don't know if we made it clear. This is digitally produced images from Adobe. So it's a wallpaper, basically, and this image is printed on. So it needs to be a certain size, so many dots per square inch, and it's basically online. It's nothing that, if you wanted to do archival images, that wouldn't be something that we would be able to do with this. But it's open because there's a lot of things that we can do. The other thing is, I'm not too sure if you understand where all the display areas are. So obviously we have in the children's area. Move this down. Oh, that's okay. So, this is the area that we're talking about in the children's area. And this has a column that comes down into it. So part of the idea of this presentation was to talk about color and implementing like an accent color. So really depending on what might be going on in that wall, we might want to pick up an accent color. That was one of the things that we had displayed it for. But we also have over the fireplace, there's a metal strip where you have rods that you can hang your images on. It's a little tricky doing this. Actually, if you just want to hold it. So this is over the fireplace. And so there's lighting for display and there's rods to have images, any type of image that you want. And there's also blocking behind here. So if you have heavier pieces of art you'd like to show, it's in there too. So you have a lot of flexibility. The other place is in the cafeteria, which is over here in along this wall. We also have a display. So it would be the same thing. It would have a metal bar that comes across with rods that support whatever it is that you want to display here. So if you wanted to do a historic items, that's where you could do some historic pieces. But in the children's area, I think you maybe want to have something more playful. And actually, Taisu had a great idea.
Well, when Jeanette told me this wallpaper idea is mural, we done a number of places a client wanted to do something like that. Then they hired artists and we debate about it and so on and so on. And many cases they just dropped idea. because
Yeah, nothing
they
gets done.
couldn't agree on what's the best mural look, mural. And sometimes I'm just afraid if some kind of this mural on a wallpaper is not going to look first class artwork, and it can be dated very quickly, and then you're stuck with it. So my suggestion is something like this. Use this wall as a really bring the town's children's art in. For example, ask a number of elementary school art teacher, send their children's work and display on this wall, and maybe you change every year or every 6 months, and making this is kind of display of Bloomfield children's that way, you can change this and you can manage it. And I think draw more interest of which school children doing what, so on, so on. It's much more educational rather than preconceived certain idea of mural. It's very difficult to agree on what is the appropriate educational mural. I mean, you can talk about forever, you can agree on. So that's my comment of you may be making a mistake, stuck with this thing. It's not first class mural.
The other thing is, just as we had the metal rails in the other areas, they make these rails that come across and it's just, kids can just draw pictures and you can take those actual sheets and put them up there. So it's a constantly changing and interesting, and you can do a couple layers if you want. So it does give you a lot more flexibility.
Is that mural is part of a building contract or how
The
is
wall
that?
covering, the wall coverings in the specs. It's not a high ticket
You-
item, but
we-
the
wall covering was part of a building project?
what was?
The- the-
Yes,
covering.
yeah. So we had met with
I-
the library and the children's librarians, and they had given us some images. And they like the idea of nature, grow with us. They cited, is it Philly Park, and the idea of water. And there is the fish tank that they actually own they have a fish tank. And so this is where the fish tank, if they're choosing to reuse it, can go here. So some of the other images were of whales. So that was how this whole wallpaper got generated. There was discussion about having a local artist come in and paint a mural, or you could have a graphic artist. But often we do see that the walls are left bare for a very long time because nobody can decide. As Taisu points out, it is pretty permanent. So by going with something like this in the children's area, it gives you a lot more flexibility. And you can pick whatever you want.
Lois?
Do you mean, I can't tell whether this is on, do you mean that, I like what you're suggesting very much? And I've seen it in the state office building, in the corridor between the Capitol and the state office building. That's changed all the time. And I can imagine that it would be wonderful to have contests and things for different seasons.
Yeah.
But now I'm confused because do the requirements of the contract mean that we're stuck with wallpaper?
No, not necessarily. You don't have.
No,
Oh, we can make changes.
Yeah.
We can make changes to that.
yeah. Right, exactly. Right. Right.
You get credit.
Right? We need credit.
Well, let me ask,
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is that the existing railing that we're talking about for the other displays, that those manufacturers often make these pieces as well. So you're just purchasing a couple of railings that will go across, so. Yeah,
is there
so it's
interest
in-
in
that's in the
pursuing
spec.
the wallpaper that's in the contract now and looking at other options for that? I'm asking Elizabeth, Ava, you have your hand up. Please feel free to, talk about this. Go ahead, Ava.
Thanks, Mark. We're treading very close to programmatic decisions here, as opposed to just decoration.
I'd like to tread towards a decision, regardless of what type it is. So we need your input, or
I
a
wasn't
process.
finished.
I'm going to let you finish.
Part of my point is that it's very important to keep consulting with the library folks on this. I'm hearing mention of educational and this and that. The idea of a background that the library staff can layer their materials on, that they can use a smart board, a Promethean board, or whatever in front of, so that they have something that doesn't conflict with whatever's being displayed with smart technology. All of these things are programmatic. Having a neutral background, which is, if I heard him correctly, what Taisu was talking about, lets the library people constantly change what's on the wall. What they want to have on the wall is a programming decision that they would make at the time. So I would like to see us choosing something that is a background they can work with. I like the idea in the adult areas and the cafe area of having the display rods. Certainly with someone with Elizabeth's capabilities and her extremely strong background in art, I'm sure that she can work with her staff to find things that are absolutely appropriate. But I really think that anything that becomes a background that interferes with programming is problematic. Something neutral that the staff can layer, that doesn't interfere with any display they choose, that lets them add things that lend to the participation of the people using the room, those would be good things. Thanks.
Can I suggest that, Elizabeth, you set up a follow-up meeting with Jeanette and Abby and make it known to the committees, anybody from the committee that wants to attend, and just dig into this further with these options, so we can come to a decision. Does that make
Confirmed.
sense?
Yes.
So we
ju-
have
we
been
ju-
meeting with them.
major decision is
Right.
whether going forward with this mural idea or dropping the mural
Right.
and more replaceable artwork on that wall. That's the decision.
In our conversations, it's always been a mural or some, that wall has been dedicated for that. And Elizabeth, and they all have had, had discussions about that. What the exact image is going to be, that has never been finalized. So in the other meeting, when this information came up about different historic pieces, so then maybe we need to use this wall as a different place. But I do agree that the staff has great ideas. So if they could come to a decision, if they want to have a blank wall, as was suggested, there's also monitors in the teens room. And so there are other areas for technology. But certainly happy to meet with Elizabeth and her group and to have another meeting. They did not see this with the two bars for the, because that just kind of came up. So we'd be happy to meet with them.
Okay, so we'll have some follow-up discussions then
Okay.
on that. I mean, what you're showing to date, the mural, what's in the contract is a result of previous conversations.
Right.
Okay, so we just need to continue that process then, bring it to a conclusion as quickly as possible.
Right. That's the goal.
From our construction manager. Right, okay.
So I guess that was a question too. We're not sure when this is going to be submitted and what the time frame is that we need to really kind of lock down a decision.
So John, you have to push those submittals back a little bit.
We have time. You have time. We have time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Not according to Procore, but John's gonna work on that.
Back to that. You got till January now.
Lois,
We can't hear Lois.
There's a reason I was on mute. So I don't know whether we're talking about abandoning the wallpaper and making a wall where there can be rotating exhibits of whatever the library believes is appropriate for the time. Have we made that decision?
no, we're throwing it back in the hands of the library to.
But we're going to
discuss
meet
this
with
further.
them one more time.
And anybody else that wants to join.
I would like to join unless I could just put my 2 cents in right now, which is.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome to comment
abandon
right
the
now.
Wallpaper.
Abandon the wallpaper, says Lois. Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, those were the two big topics from the last meeting. I had sent all the information. I'm sorry, what was your name? Glenn. You'd asked me to send this to Glenn. So for all the finishes, he has all the information about maintenance and the durability. This is the linoleum. This is the stair tread we had talked about. These are different flooring materials in the toilet rooms. These are actually a 12 by 24 tile that would be in the toilet rooms. These would be the toilet partitions. And then there's all the walls have tile coming up to a certain point. And then there's a little bit of gyp above that would have another accent paint over there. And then in the kitchen area and the custodial area, we have this other porcelain tile. That's the size of it. Actually, it's a 2 by 4. And but in the kitchen, we also have some of this tile going up on the walls. You're also going to have your cabinetry, which will have millwork. That's one of the back of the house items. So it would have laminate as opposed to wood. That was part of the VE decisions. So like the base cabinets would be maybe a darker color, the countertop and the upper cabinets, maybe the lighter color. And basically throughout all the other areas in the back of the house would just be sort of a neutral laminate that certainly goes nicely with the wood. And that's pretty much it for the finishes.
More questions, comments? All right, well, I thank you all for bringing in
Yep.
the samples.
So there's two things still. We're gonna select some other carpets to look at.
Right.
And then we're gonna meet with the staff to talk more about the wall.
All opportunities. Right. Good, thank you. Okay, so let's go on to Sean. Sean has no report for us tonight. Okay, in the interest of time, we appreciate that. Anybody have questions for Sean? Okay. All right, so let's go to, we have a 2024 meeting schedule that Nancy has produced for us. One of our chores to approve that.
Before I ask for approval, I just want to point out a few things. You'll notice that the April only has one meeting scheduled, and that is because the normal date we would meet, which is the 24th, is Passover. And also in October, there's only two meetings. Normally, we would meet on October 2nd, but that's Rosh Hashanah. And in December, there's only one meeting because the other meeting day would be Christmas. And I didn't think there would be a lot of people who would want to attend on Christmas. So I just wanted to highlight those few things before we got into any other discussion.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ike to approve the meeting schedule for next year. Do we have a second? Lois seconds. Thank you, Lois. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Chris, we haven't heard from you.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, and the chair votes aye, so it is unanimous. We have a schedule for next year. Thank you. All right, Nancy, purchases invoices are none. We're getting away cheap tonight. Okay. All right. Other items from the committee? Patrick.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up that, I like the in-person meetings, so I'm wondering if going forward, we could continue with, I think we would need the hybrid solution and have both remote and person, but, I think it's really good to all get together and have some discussions. So I'd like.
Patrick, we can't hear you.
Okay, how about now? Can you
Yes.
hear me now? Okay, so yeah, I was just saying that I like having the option of meeting in person. So I was just asking the chair if we can continue with the in-person meetings as well as the remote, so that we would be able to be in the room. We could have the discussions that we need to have. We could, present the things that need to be presented like we did tonight by seeing some of the actual pieces of carpet and other finishes and things like that. So I'm hoping that we could continue with the in-person meetings, at least if not this year, starting in 2024, barring inclement weather.
Thank you. I'm definitely in favor of in-person. I don't think there's any other way to do an architecture.
So Mark, we still gonna have the option of hybrid, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, you can keep cruising, Bob.
Thank you. I'm heading out tomorrow morning.
Happy sailing, happy sailing. More comments from the committee? Any other business? Don't see any. Okay, all right, thank you all. So next meetings are one more in November, the 29th, and then we are into December 15th. And that wraps up the year. So members of the public, Nancy, everybody with their hands up. We have members of the public. All right, thank you all for attending and for your interest. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Patrick,
Second.
Petra had you beat, Bob. Second by Bob Ike. All in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
And have a very happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
You too.
Thank you.